Welcome to this very late episode of the Metal Map Podcast, and I'm extremely sorry that this episode is coming as late as it is. But this past weekend was just crazy. It was something I was not prepared for. It was something I wasn't expecting to happen. But Friday I was switching phone services to Sprint, so I didn't have my phone all day. And for those that don't know, I record these podcasts on my phone, so I didn't have my phone recorded on. So Friday, my phone was gone. And Saturday, I did get my phone. I got an iPhone 5S, but I was busy all day celebrating my mom's birthday, so I didn't have any time to record. And Sunday, I was going to, I restored my phone. I was going to go ahead and get an iPhone 6. It turns out they didn't have an iPhone 6, but they said that the next day that they would. So I didn't have my phone for Sunday. And Monday, which is yesterday at the time I'm recording this, I finally got an iPhone 6. But it took all day to get an iPhone 6. And so I was busy yesterday just sorting it all out, getting it all set up. So finally today, I'm getting a chance to record it. I'm also going to be recording the Amazing Spider-Man podcast after this one. So I'm really sorry about the delay. It's not something that would happen normally, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that nothing like that ever happens again. I don't want any type of delay like that to ever happen again, you know. It's just, it's not something I like to do. I like to have my podcast on time, you know. But, life gets in the way, you know. So, but I'm going to try my best to make sure that none of the podcast gets delayed, at least to a degree such as that. But anyway, iPhone 6 is actually pretty cool, honestly. There's really not that much a difference from the iPhone like 5 and 5S and stuff like that. There's a couple of new features in there, but other than that, I don't really see much of a difference. But anyway, it's pretty cool. And so now everything's back to normal, so we can go to the shout-outs now. And a shout-out to Chucky's Playground. Probably the best website on the internet. And tomorrow, hopefully this podcast will be up today, on Tuesday. But if it's not, then you can just ignore what I'm about to say. But tomorrow, the standalone website, is up and will be operational, and we're very excited about that. If this actually happens to come out Wednesday, then today it comes out. But I'm not sure when it comes out. Hopefully it's on Tuesday. But anyway, so Chucky's Playground, great site, great place to hang out. Come hang out with us, sign up, be part of our amazing community. And another shout out to Movie Mayhem with Spanky and G. It's a great podcast, run by my very good friends, and it's a pretty amazing show. You know, I have great chemistry, and they just do great reviews of movies, both good and bad. And so now it's time to shoot the shuffle. Number 1. Turn Up the Radio by Autograph from Sign In Please. This is a cool little glam metal song, though it does take a while to get started. Number 2, Jesus Built My Hot Rod, Red Line/White Line mix by Ministry from Jesus Built My Hot Rod, the single. This is actually a pretty cool remix of the original, and I think I like this better than the original, actually. The beginning is prolonged because it's kind of the same drum beat, sort of done over and over again, and it's set to samples, mainly from Brad Dourif's character in Wise Blood. I think that's the name of the movie that it comes from. I'm not too sure about that, but I think it's something along the lines of Wise Blood. But it's a pretty cool song, very interesting remix. It's not that different from the original, but it's still pretty cool to listen to, especially if you're a Ministry fan. Number 3, She's Only 18 by the Red Hot Chili Peppers from Stadium Arcadium. One of my personal favorites from that album, which is a really cool double album, and just a really cool song. Number 4, Let It Roll by Velvet Revolver from Libertad. Pretty cool opening track from Velvet Revolver's second album. I highly doubt that this band is coming back, but it was fun while it lasted. Number 5, Jeremy by Pearl Jam from Two. Jeremy spoken class today. Yeah, but that's a really cool song by Pearl Jam from their debut album 10. A really good story. Number 6, Holy Diver by Dio from Holy Diver. Dio is a god, quite literally. His name, I believe, means God in Italian. But, yeah, this is a really good song. Number 7, 8 Days a Week by the Beatles from Beatles for Sale. Of course, Beatles, what can I say about them that hasn't already been said? They're a fantastic band, and that's all that needs to be said. They're a fantastic band. Number 8, Two Steps Behind by Def Leppard from Retrospective. This is an acoustic song, and it's decent. Number 9, Feel Your Love Tonight by Van Halen from Van Halen. One of the best songs off the debut album. And finally, number 10, Anastasia, or Anastasia, whatever you call it, by Slash from Apocalyptic Love. Without a doubt, the best song from Slash's album, Apocalyptic Love. Really great song. Slash kills it on guitar, and Miles Kennedy does a great vocal job. And I really need to check out Slash's new album that just came out, World on Fire. I really need to check that out, because I am a Slash fan, so I really need to give that a listen sometime soon. So that's all for Shoot the Shuffle, and now it's time to get on to the main event. Quite possibly the most polarizing band in heavy metal history, Metallica. This might be a bit of a controversial episode, because they have made some albums that are kind of polarizing, and I might have a bit of a different opinion on it. But, let's take a look at their discography, and let's see how it all plays out. So the first album they made was Kill 'Em All, back in 83, I believe, 82 or 83. And Kill 'Em All, I'd be lying if I said I listened to this album a lot, because I really don't. Probably out of all the Metallica albums, well, I don't know if I would say that. I think there's a few more Metallica albums that I don't really listen to. But this is one of those that I don't really listen to a whole lot, because it doesn't, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's not that memorable. It definitely has some good songs on here, like Seek and Destroy. What was that song? The instrumental on here, I can't remember the song at this time. It was like Pulling Teeth or something like that. Okay, it's Anesthesia, Pulling Teeth. For some reason I'm thinking of Anastasia, because I just talked about Anastasia by Slash. But anyway, Seek and Destroy and Anesthesia, Pulling Teeth, which is a bass solo by the late great Cliff Burton. And Lars always comes on drums late in the song, and that's a really good song. It's probably my favorite song off the album, because Cliff Burton basically doing what he does best. And Jump in the Fire is pretty cool as well. Four Horsemen is decent. Other than that, there's not a whole lot memorable about this album, at least for me anyway. It's just, I don't really get as much enjoyment from this album as I do from their later ones. But that's just me, And so now we move on to Ride the Lightning. And this album is far better and more memorable, in my opinion, than Kill 'Em All. This one is really, really good. Begins with kind of an acoustic intro. Just fight fire with fire, and that's pretty cool as well. The title track, Ride the Lightning, that is an awesome song. The entire band just kills on it, especially Kirk Hammett. For Whom the Bell Tolls, amazing bass in there. Yeah, amazing bass wah-wah pedal, I believe it is. And it's just really interesting to listen to. Just really great. And Fade to Black is a cool ballad. Trapped Under Ice, very underrated song. I wish more people kind of knew about the song because it's really cool. Creeping Death is awesome as well. And the Call of Cthulhu, I think that's how it's pronounced. I really hope that's how it's pronounced. The Call of Cthulhu. That is an amazing instrumental. I think I'd probably say it's my favorite Metallica instrumental. Probably. And elements of this song were apparently written by Dave Mustaine when he was still in the band. And he would later use parts of this song in Hangar 18. And Hangar 18 had some elements of the Call of Cthulhu. Because apparently it was co-written with Dave Mustaine. You know, back when he was still in the band. But, yeah, Call of Cthulhu is an amazing song to close out the album on. Just a really great instrumental. If you haven't heard it, definitely check it out. It will change your life. So, ultimately, Ride the Lightning is a far better album than Kill 'Em All, I think. Just really improving on that groundwork. Just really great. I also really love the cover art for it. Just the cover art is very awesome and very memorable. And the cover for Kill 'Em All was really memorable and awesome as well, by the way. So now we move on to Master of Puppets. And Master of Puppets, probably Metallica, at the time, Metallica's best album, maybe. I'd probably say that Ride the Lightning is a bit stronger, but, yeah, Master of Puppets is really good as well. Battery begins very similarly with an acoustic style intro, and just becomes a 4-hour thrash assault. It's just really good. Title track's awesome as well. Welcome Sanitarium is awesome as well. Disposable Heroes, underrated as hell. Just very great. Leopard Messiah is alright. Orion is really good as well. Damage Incorporated is great as well. So, Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, I'm not sure which one's better, now that I think about it. I'm really not sure. I'm kind of leaning towards Master. But, I don't know, it's a really tough decision. Just Master is just great as well. Master of Puppets is just great. You know, the title track is just amazing. You know. And just amazing album. Just a really great album. If you haven't heard it, definitely check it out. Disposable Heroes, like I said, very underrated. Much like Trapped Under Ice. It's kind of that song on the album that's really underrated, that not a lot of people have really heard, or at least talk about very much. But it's definitely one to check out. And so, shortly after Master of Puppets, Cliff Burton ended up dying in a tragic bus accident. And Metallica ended up hiring Jason Newsted as their new bassist. And they would end up doing the album And Justice for All. And if you watch my top 10 albums episode, then you know that this is one of my favorite albums of all time. Production wise, it's not that hot, but really, because the bass is mixed so low that you can barely hear it. For me, it's not really a problem, you know. It doesn't really affect my opinion of it very much, but I can see why other people would hate it as well. But other than that, I think it's really cool. The intro Blackened is just really great as well. The title track is amazing. Just a really great one. Eye of the Beholder is great as well. One is very awesome. The Shortest Straw is really cool and underrated as well. Harvester of Sorrow is great as well. To Live is to Die is an amazing instrumental. Diary's Eve is great as well. And it's very progressive metal. This was the final thrash album, in a way, for Metallica. And it's really good. Though, it kind of has a very progressive metal type lean to it, you know. It's kind of mixed with thrash metal as well. It's just pretty amazing, without a doubt. And it's just an amazing album. If you haven't heard it, check it out. It is by far my favorite Metallica album ever. Just really, really great. And so now we move on to the dreaded Black Album. And this is a pretty polarizing album, to say the least, because it has Metallica really changing their sound very much. Because on this one, on the previous four, they were a thrash metal band. A really thrash metal band. On here, they're just a standard heavy metal band. They really slow down their sound a little bit. A lot of people really don't like that, and a lot of people refer to this as the time when Metallica sold out. And I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say that they sold out, but this album is not that strong, in my opinion. I think that there's a ton of filler on here. And the songs that are good are really good. Like Inner Sandman, Sad But True, Unforgiven, Wherever I May Roam, Nothing Else Matters, even Through the Never, and My Friend of Misery. My Friend of Misery is a great underrated track. Other than those songs, the rest of the album are pretty much just filler. And that's not really what Metallica was about during those first four albums. Because those first four albums, you know, all of them had songs that might not have been memorable, but they were still pretty interesting to listen to. On here, not a lot of songs are interesting to listen to. It's just kind of that, once you hear something like Inner Sandman or Wherever I May Roam, whenever you hear that standard heavy metal song sound, you really kind of know what to expect for the rest of the album. And it's just not that memorable. It's really forgettable. Just a lot of filler on that album. So I'm not a huge fan of the Black Album. You know, I mean, how much more black could it get? And the answer is none. None more black. That's a Spinal Tap quote, by the way. The album art is a bit of a homage to Spinal Tap's own Black Album, Smell the Glove, and this is Spinal Tap, which is a great movie, by the way. Recommend it as well. And anyway, so several years pass without a new Metallica album, until finally we get a new one, Load. And when I really didn't know what to think of it. Because it's basically sort of following that same formula as the Black Album. But Metallica's personality seemed to have changed quite dramatically. All the band members cut off their hair. And it seemed like they had gotten to a much more simpler heavy metal sound. And Load, I'd say it's probably a bit more memorable than the Black Album, because I think it has more songs on it that I at least remember. The House Jack Built is a really underrated track. That's a really good one. King Nothing King Nothing is really the same song as Inner Sandman. Like, it really is like the same song. Really listen to that song again. Then listen to Inner Sandman. And don't tell me that they're not the same song. And tell me that they're not the same song. They're really similar. And just to drive that point home, Hetfield at the very end sings, "Off to Never Never Land." Like, they're not hiding it. But anyway, it's a very similar structure to Inner Sandman. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, Hero of the Day is really good as well. Mama Said is really cool as well. I'm not a huge fan of country music, though. And that's pretty much what it is. It's pretty much a country ballad. But it's kind of a guilty pleasure for me, you know. And at the very end is a track called The Outlaw Torn, which is 9 minutes. Almost 10 minutes. And I think it's one of the longest songs they ever done, that they've ever done. And I think they actually had to cut it. And it's worth noting that this is Metallica's longest album to date. And they actually had to cut the song a little bit in order to make room for the album, because at the time, and it might still be the norm, I'm not sure if it's still what's required, but at the time, compact disc could only go up to like 80 minutes or something like that, or 76 minutes, or something around 76, 80 minutes. And if they had left a longer version of the Outlaw Torn on it, the CD would actually start to skip. So they had to cut out the outro to the Outlaw Torn. And you can really tell that it was cut, because it just fades out. It never doesn't really have a proper ending. And I think the Outlaw Torn full song was released on some other single. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was released on some type of single, so you can hear it anywhere, you know. So overall, Load, I really don't know which is the better album, the Black Album or Load. For sheer memorability, I'd probably go with the Black Album. I don't think the Black Album is a great album, but it's probably a bit more memorable than this one. That's not to say that there's some bad songs on here, because there's actually some really good songs on here, on the Load. But for the most part, it's just not that memorable of an album. And so a year and a half later, we get Reload. And this album is a bit better than Load. It's definitely more memorable, without a doubt. We start out with Fuel, and that's a really good heavy song as well. Very fast-paced, which definitely fits the car theme of the album, of the song. And The Memory Remains is great as well. That's what a lot of people really remember from this album. Then we get The Unforgiven 2, which is alright. It's nothing special. Then we get Better Than You, which is okay. Carpe Diem Baby, that's cool. Where the Wild Things Are is really great as well. Well Man's Lyric is a great 7.5 minute ballad. And Fixer with 3 X's. No, yeah, 3 X's. That's a really good outro song as well. So on the whole, this album is far, far more memorable than Load. At the same time, though, there's still a bit of filler on the album, and they easily could have done this as a double album, Loaded. You know, they could have easily done it as like a double album or something like that. You know, but I mean, it's not bad, but I wish they would have just done it as a double album. But then there would probably been too much filler on there. But anyway, Reload is better than the Load, I think. And so in 2000, Metallica did a song called I Disappear, which I think is a really cool song. Unfortunately, a demo of that song got uploaded to Napster.com. It was leaked to Napster.com, And Metallica, specifically Lars Ulrich, pretty much went ballistic on this. And this is kind of what started the whole music downloading stuff. And Metallica really did lose a lot of fans on that one. I was only 5 years old, so I had no idea what was going on. Not to mention the fact that I probably didn't have any idea who Metallica was when I was 5 years old. But anyway, then they do a 2003 album that is probably the most controversial and most polarizing album, without a doubt, in Metallica's career, and probably in the entire heavy metal community. And that album is Saint Anger. And I'm going to say something that might be a little bit controversial. I actually like Saint Anger. I do. I like Saint Anger. A lot of people really hate this album. A lot of people really trash the hell out of this album. But I would much rather listen to this album than any other modern rock band going on today. And there's a lot of legitimate criticism about this album. I'm not going to pretend that this album is perfect. I'm not even going to pretend that this album is legitimately, technically good, because it's really not. The production value is not that high, and Lars Ulrich's drum sound is very weird as well. And there's no guitar solos on the album at all. But even still, with all that in the mix, I still think Saint Anger. I still like Saint Anger. That first track, Frantic, is really cool. Saint Anger, the title track, and that's how I figured out that this album was actually kind of my first exposure to Metallica, because the Saint Anger title song was the theme song for SummerSlam 2003. So that's how I kind of first became aware of Metallica. And Dirty Window, that's alright. Invisible Kid is alright as well. My World is great. Shoot Me Again is great. Sweet Amber is pretty cool. Unnamed Feeling is great. Purify, that's alright. All Within My Hands, that's great as well. Overall, I think this album is really cool. And while this album might technically be worse than Load and Reload, and even the Black Album, it's probably Metallica's most memorable album since And Justice for All. I really cannot deny that. It's definitely memorable, regardless of whether it's good or bad. And I also highly suggest the documentary Some Kind of Monster. It really does kind of explain what Metallica were going through at the time, because the band pretty much nearly broke up because of this album. And the documentary pretty much documents everything that was going on during the recording of that album. It's a really interesting documentary, so definitely check it out. And so several years pass, and finally Metallica come out with a new album, Death Magnetic. And this was pretty much a return to form for Metallica. And a lot of people say that this would be the album that would come out between And Justice for All and the Black Album. And it really is true. This is pretty much what would happen if Metallica never went mainstream, for lack of a better word. If they had continued with the thrash metal sound, because it's very reminiscent of And Justice for All. And especially, those first three albums, that's really, really good. And Death Magnetic, I think, is really, really good. Broken Beat and Scarred is great as well. The Day That Never Comes, awesome. Oh, Nightmare Long, awesome. Cyanide, awesome. Judas Kiss, really cool. Suicide and Redemption, great instrumental. My Apocalypse, great way to close out the album. Overall, the album is very great. It's basically return to form. It kind of starts out slow at first, not really that great, but overall, it it returns to what it was known as, and what is just pretty cool. And so in 2011, Metallica collaborated with Lou Reed on an album called Lulu. And much like Saint Anger, everybody trashed the hell out of this album. And again, much like with Saint Anger, I actually like this album. Again, I can see why everyone hates the album. It's very weird. And honestly, it's more of a Lou Reed album than it is a Metallica album. You know, but overall, it's at least interesting to listen to. I don't think anyone can deny that. It's very interesting to listen to. You know, a lot of the songs are pretty much Metallica playing Lou Reed just spinning out weird vocals. And Lou Reed, his vocals aren't quite what they used to be on this album, because he actually used to be a really cool singer, but now age kind of caught up with him, and you know, just it's an interesting album to listen to. I can't deny that it's a very interesting album to listen to. So if you haven't heard it, I'd say check it out, because you are in for an interesting experience, that's for sure. And so now we're going to be talking about the final thing that Metallica, the latest thing that Metallica has done, and is a movie called Through the Never. And this is an interesting movie, and it came out about last year, I'd say, around this time last year, and it's really, really cool. It's sort of a concert, but at the same time, it's also kind of a story as well. Metallica are performing somewhere in Canada, and they have a roadie called Trip, who's played by the same guy that plays the Green Goblin in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. And his boss asks Trip to go ahead, and he has to get something from Metallica. It's a very important briefcase or a bag. I think it's a bag. It's a bag, and it's never revealed what's in the bag. They leave it to our imaginations, and I really don't know exactly what's in the bag. I'd have to think it's something involving Cliff Burton. I'm really not sure, but it's all open to interpretation. So the entire concert, the entire movie is basically a mix between a concert and this whole little Trip story. And I end up liking the concert way more than the story. But I did see what they were trying to do with it. They were trying to go for a sort of a Led Zeppelin, the song remains the same type thing. And it's alright. It doesn't really do quite what it does with that one. But I like it for what it is. It's a really cool movie that really does let you show just how good of a band Metallica are live. So that's basically it for this Metallica retrospective. Overall, I think Metallica is a really great band. They've made some forgettable albums, but for the most part, they're a really good band. A very good heavy metal band, regardless of whether it's thrash metal or just standard heavy metal. So that's all for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Sorry for the delay. I'm going to try my best to make sure that won't happen again. And the next time we come back, which will probably be tomorrow or later today, we will be checking out, I already did the Sam Raimi Spider-Man series, and now it only makes sense to check out the Mark Webb Amazing Spider-Man series. So I'll see you then.